So Anthropic just dropped a new tool called Claude Design that changes everything, and I've been running all of our brand's emails through this to test it out. I put it through hundreds of emails at this point, and the results actually surprised me. This is the first email design AI tool that I've seen actually create usable emails. Now I manage over 120 different brands' email marketing systems, and we do anywhere from $30 to $50 million a month for our brands. And we've got some of the best email designers in the game on payroll. And we are starting to use Claude Design to help amplify our results and our output. When you give it the right context, the right reference material, and the right feedback, it produces quality professional level emails in literally 10 minutes or less. And our team is able to make adjustments if we want to then send to clients and then send to our list to make a shit ton of money. So in this video, I'm not only gonna show you exactly how it works and walk you through the exact workflow, I'm going to be actually using this process to create an email live directly in front of you guys. Starting with number one, making sure you're set up on Claude Design. So Claude Design is only available if you have a paid plan. So if you don't have a paid plan on Claude, you're not gonna be able to access it. And some other thing to note is this is not available on the desktop app quite yet. It's only available on the web. So if you pull up Claude in your browser, just claude.ai, you're gonna see right down here, this Claude Design right here. And you can click right here, and then you're gonna be able to access then what the interface looks like. Now, I'll walk you through each part of these here in a second. What you're gonna be able to see on this right side, you're gonna have all of your designs that you create are gonna be right inside of here. Anthropic has given you some examples with like outputs that are created on Claude Design, which is insane, and it shows the exact prompt that was used. And then you're gonna see this design systems tab over here, which is gonna be very important, which we're gonna talk about in a second. Over here is actually where we're going to be creating our designs. So you have 4 different options. You can create a prototype, which is literally just a design. You can create a slide deck, so essentially just a little bit more specific. You can go off of a template that you've created, or you can do just other, whatever you want. I always just use prototype and I use high fidelity. Rather than using a wireframe, I want a complete product right here. And what you'll see right here is the design system. And so you have to choose some sort of design system in order to create a design. You can see that's the same thing as over here. Now what a design system is it's essentially just branding. How do you want your design to look? And so as we're creating e-commerce emails, it's important that for every brand that we use, we create a design system. So that is going to be step number 1, creating a design system to make sure your branding is set up. Because eventually, right here, I'm gonna create an email design and I'm gonna need to set my design system so that it gets the right branding. But before that, we have to create our design system. So let's go over here to design systems and create one. Now, 99% of people using AI skip this sort of step in making sure that you have the right context. The thing with AI is that if you give it a shitty input, it's gonna give you a shitty output. So you have to make sure that you nail this and do it correctly. So if we go into design systems right here, we wanna click create. And I'm gonna do this for every single brand that I create emails for. And then what you see here is it's going to help you set up this design system, and it's gonna prompt you with a couple of different things. So you can see it asks for a company name and a blurb, and then any context that you want. So you can upload a Figma file, you can link code from your computer, and then adding fonts, logos, and assets, and then any other notes. And then what Claude is then gonna be able to do is it's gonna take that information and then create your design system.
Real quick, I just became a partner at OmniSend. If you haven't heard of OmniSend, they're an email service provider, and in my opinion, they're the best bang for your buck. They're a really good price. You can get 30% off your first 3 months by going to omnisend.com/max. Has everything you need for an email service provider with great team, great support, and all the capabilities that you need. If you haven't checked them out, highly recommend you check them out. The link will be in the description if you want to, and let's get on with the video.
Now the brand I'm gonna be doing this for is this brand right here. It's called Happy Being. It's a drink that helps you be happy. It just kind of tastes like tea, but it's more like the future of tea, all natural ingredients, and it helps give you energy and feel good. So here is what I am going to put for Happy Being. For the company blurb and information, I'm literally just gonna copy this right here. I'm gonna say Happy Being, and then I'm gonna copy and paste right here. Clean this up a little bit, and then put this blurb right here, just so Claude kind of sees like exactly what the brand is about. So we have that part all set up right here. I'm also gonna say what the website is, and I'm gonna link the website right here so that it can pull from it. And then boom, now let's get to adding some more context, so actual files that we have. This is where you wanna upload all your fonts, your logos, your brand guidelines, and ideally your website as well. So you can see I've just added brand guidelines right here. If you don't have brand guidelines, that's completely fine. Claude is just gonna do the best that it can based on your website, and it's gonna be able to pull stuff from your website. But the more stuff you can give this, the better your output's going to be. So I actually have the website design in a Figma file as well. So I'm gonna put the website's Figma in here as well. You can easily do this with any website just by looking up website to HTML or website to Figma, and then use one of those tools that are out there to turn this into a Figma file, and then you're able to give that to Claude. And I found it's really effective with helping Claude get your brand because it can actually read Figma files. So I'm gonna upload this as well. And then it's gonna ask me if I wanna attach everything, and then boom. This is going to be enough, honestly, for us to work with. I'm going to add the fonts, logos, and assets here in a second. Things like using some of the photography on our actual logos and fonts. I don't really need to add anything else for notes here, and I'm just gonna see what it comes up with. So if you click continue to generation right here, it's gonna say, hey, it's gonna take about 5 minutes to generate your design system. You can step away or keep the tab open, then you're gonna click generate. Now, if you're not in my email marketing community, you need to join. We're talking about this every single week. You can see here's a question right here on can you have AI running your whole email channel? In this community, I respond to absolutely everything. There's a full 30+ module email course. There are 250+ email templates. You get all the call recordings. Like last week, I did a full deep dive on Claude design and Claude code for email creation. There's also a call on Tuesday specific to agency owners. You can see the call schedule right here, 2 live calls every single week. If you're interested, the link's gonna be below. It's everything that you need to run an email channel. I look forward to seeing you in there. All right, so a few minutes later, once it gets all set up, this is what it's going to look like inside. You have the chat over here, and then you have the actual design system that it created. Now, I already went a little bit back and forth to make sure that it had the information, but it's really, really cool. You can see kind of what Claude is doing. It's like, I'm gonna start by exploring the brand guidelines, and then it does that, and then it's like, okay, I'm gonna extract some of these images. Awesome. And you can see just all the stuff that it's doing right here. And then it'll tell you what it has and it doesn't have. And so what it did was like, hey, I don't have the font files. I don't have like the active site, because I hadn't given this to it. I wanted to see what it would say. And so it was like, hey, I don't have this stuff, so I was like, all right, bet, let me give you this stuff. So then I gave it all the stuff, went a little bit back and forth with it, gave it some lifestyle imagery, and eventually we come out with this design system. What it has, it's gonna pull up the badges. You can see it pulls up the website right here, and what you can do is you can say like, looks good or needs work. If it needs work, it's gonna pull you over to chat over here, and then you can give it the proper stuff. Like for example, if this was incorrect, it's gonna create all the typefaces and everything right here, so everything that you need, the scale of everything, it's gonna pull out all your colors, the buttons and badges, form inputs, anything that it's seen on your website, and then everything down to brand and product imagery and different icons and logos. And then it also has some other stuff that it's not showing you behind the scenes as well. Once we have this design system, now Claude knows our brand. Now we need to teach it a little bit about email marketing. Now, without giving Claude any sort of context on email design, it's still going to give you a really good output. And I found it's actually pretty good, and it knows what it's doing. However, I like to give it my specific guidelines when I'm actually creating an email. So we need to make sure that we have that. And so what we're gonna use is we're gonna use an MD file that I'm gonna give you. Essentially, that's just a text file with instructions on how to create a good, well-performing email. Things like, here's what spacing should be like, here's what the structure should be like, here's what contents in the email should be like, so that it has a base wireframe to go off of. And then third, we need to give it context on the exact email that we want to create. If you give Claude your brand guidelines, you tell it how to create a good email, and you tell it what the email should be about, then you're gonna get a really good output. So let's get to creating that email. So I'm gonna name this Happy Being Ingredient Highlight. And then instead of the Wellcopy design system, I'm gonna go to that new design system that I just created, Happy Being Design System. I'm gonna go with high fidelity right here. I'm gonna click create, and it's gonna create this chat right here. As we ask it to create designs, that's gonna pull up over here on this right side, and over here it's just a regular chat feature. And so this is the context that it's going off of. It already has selected the hi-fi design, which is just like a general prompt for it, and then the interactive prototype, because we clicked high fidelity as the option. Then it has our design system, and so you can see like the prompt, it's actually giving to Claude right here. And so this is already clicked right here. If we ever add assets, these are gonna go up here as well. So it already has the branding. So step 2 of creating the design is again, the email context that I told you about, which is going to be that MD file. And so this looks kind of scary, but it's literally just text. I have this file for you. There's gonna be a link in the description for you to take this, because you're gonna want to attach this in every single email that you create. So you just wanna save this file on your device, and then anytime you create an email, send this in. So you can see it's literally just guidelines. It's like, hey, here are our guidelines. Here's some context. Start every brief by asking this. Here's some format and technical constraints. Here's the structural recipe in terms of like having our value sections, then our hero sections. And you can always adjust this. Like for me, I say like have a short sub headline, 1 to 2 sentences. You can always adjust this based on your needs, but this is all the stuff that I found creates the best output for what I like. And so I'm just gonna go into my files and add in that MD file. And you can see that's gonna pull up right here, and then it's also gonna pull up inside this uploads over here. So I have that file. As some bonus context, which definitely doesn't hurt, you can now add some email examples. For this example, I'm gonna give it no prior email examples from this brand just so we can see what the output is like, but you can absolutely add in some email examples and tell Claude, hey, here's some email examples. But for now, I'm just gonna go with the prompt. You can keep this super simple. Hey, I want you to create an educational e-commerce email for Happy Being. Follow the branding closely in the design system. And as far as developing the email, follow the email rules.md file that I've attached for you to generate the email. I want this email to be an educational email about all the ingredients inside of our product and the benefits of each one. And so boom, we have that prompt. We're just gonna go with this. We're gonna click send and see what it comes up with. So you can see right here, it's working through some stuff. It's saying, hey, I'm gonna dig into the design system and email rules, and then I'll come back with some questions. You can see right here on the right side now, it's gonna ask me some sort of questions about the email and what I want it to create. And so let's go through and answer these questions. So it says, what ingredients should this cover? All 6 feel-good formula ingredients. I'm gonna go with that. And then what's the hero angle and educational headline? So you get it's really cool. You get to see like what it's thinking. And then I think I like this sciencey but warm right here. For primary CTA, let's go with try the variety pack or shop the range. That's gonna work too. Is there an offer attached? I'm gonna do no offer right here. I like that because it's not just gonna throw an offer in. And then for audience, let's do all or the general list. And then what goes in the hero? Let's say decide for me. Let's see what it comes up with. And we can always adjust it later. And then how does each ingredient module go? I'm gonna go decide for me. Then it's gonna ask the secondary section. I'm gonna just say design for me, see what it comes up with. Decide for me on all of this. And then one thing right here is when you create emails, it's gonna ask you on like different tweaks. And so if you want just like a super easy way to edit the email, this is what you're going to want. And so what are the options I'd like to see? I'd say create a couple variants on this. And then subject line preference, anything else I should know? I think we're all good. Let's go ahead and click continue. And then we're gonna wait a couple minutes here and see what email it creates. So just for reference, here are some example emails from the brand and what they create. We'll see kind of what Claude comes up with and how close it will be. But again, I didn't give it any prior emails. If I were to show it, hey, here are some of the prior emails, it's gonna create something a little bit close. And so we might take a look at that and try it out, depending on how these show up. The one thing that Claude doesn't do is it doesn't really generate custom images for you. So we can see in this email, if I had to guess, this was just a lifestyle image that was about this big right here. Or maybe it went from all the way down here to right here, but definitely the image didn't go all the way down to here. There's no camera that captures something that long. And so the designer who created this email, they probably used an AI image extender to kind of bring this down, and it helps the email really flow. Whereas Claude, it's not gonna be able to make adjustments to images like that. Just like this, for example, I bet this background was added by the designer and Claude isn't gonna be able to do that. So at times, Claude's gonna be a little bit blocky. So the designs are probably gonna be more like this, where it has just like the plain image, the lifestyle image, and then a plain background. It's a little bit more blocky. That's the thing like it hasn't quite figured out. I've noticed that other platforms like Manus and ChatGPT in their image design, they actually will do that, but Claude doesn't quite do it. All right, so we got the email right here. This looks pretty damn solid. Let's take a look. Now for context, that took about 2 to 3 minutes for that to generate, so it wasn't that bad at all. If a real designer did this, probably would have taken at least like 20 minutes. And that's not even considering that it generated all the copy for us as well. And so what we see is we have the full design right here, and we have this editor that we can use. The first thing right off the bat is we have tweaks. And so it's gonna give you some options for different variations of the email. And so if you remember from when I gave it the context, it asked like, what did I want to tweak? And I was like, the headline. So here it has different options for the headline that I could do. And if I just click here, then it pulls up the different options and different copy options, which I think is pretty sweet. And so this says the science behind the smile, 6 ingredients, 1 feel-good can. Here's a quick tour. And then this one says, read the can, we'll wait. Most wellness drinks, hope you don't. We made ours short on purpose. I think that that's a really fun one, and I might want to go with that. This one is 6 ingredients, so this one is pretty general. And then what's actually in your can. I think I like the read the can, we'll wait option. And then we have a really nice middle section right here. What's inside, 6 ingredients, 0 filler. Most wellness drinks stack a long list and hope you don't read it. Ours is short on purpose. So actually, this is kind of repetitive, so I might actually change this. If this section kind of highlights the other people, example. Let's go with the science behind the smile since we have this section. And then we have right here the different ingredients. So it breaks down all 6 ingredients. This is pulled directly from the website. I didn't give it this information. And so it breaks down every ingredient and it has like the varying different color backgrounds right here, which is pretty cool. So this is really good. The only thing that I'm kind of seeing is like this is off-centered right inside of here. Maybe it would be nice to actually have like lifestyle imagery, like real images instead of little icons, something like this. So maybe I'll ask it to do something like this in the edits, but it just didn't have those assets. And like I said, Claude doesn't really generate new assets for you. And then it goes into like, hey, they work together. It's a team, not a stack. So I really like that. And then the final call to action down here with some images of the products. So I think that that is pretty freaking awesome. Not too shabby. You could honestly ship this off right now. And that's a great email. Now let me show you the actual editor and how you can make tweaks right here directly inside of Claude. So right up here, you have the tweaks option. So if you want to hide the little tweak section that we had talked about, then you can do that. And then you have the comment feature. So if you want to comment on a specific thing and have Claude make the edits, you can just use this comment feature and have it make the edits for you. You can also go directly to edit. And right here, you can physically edit this email. So I'm going to move this back to kind of what it was before. It was set as this color right here. You can adjust the fonts. You can go in and literally adjust the copy if you want. Like for example, I don't like how smile was just on one line there. So I'm gonna do that, add this period. Actually, no, I don't like the period. You can make any adjustments to the copy if it got anything wrong. You can see all the adjustments that you can do here. And something cool that you can also do is you can draw. You could be like, hey, I want this CTA to go up here, which is pretty crazy. And so if I wanted to do anything like this, like, hey, I want the call to action right up here, you could do that, and then you can add a note and then click send and send it to Claude. So I'm just going to remove that. So now let's actually make some edits here. I'm gonna click this comment feature, and maybe for something like this section right here, I think that there's just not enough life in this, and I think this is a bit plain. So I'm gonna add a note. And so I said, I want this to have a bit more life. It is a bit bland. Can we use some more lifestyle imagery to break up the very text heavy sections from above? I'm gonna send it to Claude, and you can see it just did this right here. And now it's going to kind of look at this and then give us the updated version. So let's wait a few seconds and see what we get. All right, so here's what it did right here. You can see I asked this question, and you can see again the step-by-step. Let me look at a couple of candidates to pick the best lifestyle image to break up the section. And then it found the one that it liked, and it's like, okay, here's the plan. Now let me restructure this section. Now let me make these edits because now it's QAing itself. And then here is the explanation. So if we go here, we'll see that it's not updated. What you have to do is you need to reload for the new version up here. So I'm gonna refresh right here, and boom, here is what they put together just like this. So it looks like it added a couple images into here. It went and it split up this section and it added this right here before going to the next section right here. And then it did this final one on how they work together, and it still has this. Now I feel like this email is a little bit long. And so I would probably delete this image and then this right here, and maybe just go with this and delete this. So I'm not sure if I can actually delete a section. I don't think I can. So I'm gonna leave a couple of comments. I'm going to say, delete this section. And I'm just adding these as multiple comments. I'm gonna say, delete this section, because I wanna send this all to Claude at the same time. I'm gonna comment that right here. And then I'm going to say, delete this image, and then I think we should be good. I like how this looks. Let's go with all of these. I'm going to click all of these just like this, and I'm gonna say send to Claude, and it should be able to make those edits no problem. All right, so it looks like it didn't get the section, so now I need to adjust this. All right, so just give it a description, and hopefully this will work. All right, let's reload for the new version, and we can see, boom, that was taken away, and now I think this email is great. We are ready to rock and roll. Just a quick thing, you can have this create multiple emails at once. You don't have to just do one email. You can have it literally create everything if you want to. Here's an example for this brand right here in creating multiple emails. So you don't just have to do one. But let's go back to this and let's export this, because the next question is, how do we actually get this into whatever email sending platform that we're using? And what if you want to make further edits? I'm going to show you that the process that I use if I wanted to create further edits inside of Figma, and then I'll show you how we actually export this to our email sending platform to send this to our list. So if we click share right here, we can see we have a couple different options. We can export this as a PDF, we can export as a PowerPoint, we can actually send it straight to Canva. We'd export as a standalone HTML and we can send it to Claude Code. So let's just test a couple of these out. I'm gonna click send to Canva. You can see it's gonna go back into chat here and it's gonna figure out how to send it into Canva. Now, if you don't have Canva connected and you wanna use it, you need to set it up as a connector inside of Claude. So you'd need to leave Claude Design and go back to regular Claude right here. And if you click plus, you wanna go to connectors. And if you don't have Canva, you can see these are some of the connectors that I have. Essentially, connectors are just how you connect to other apps so that Claude can send it to those apps. So you just want to add connector and then go to Canva, search Canva, and then just follow the instructions to get it connected. Super easy. You can see it going back and forth. I don't really use it. I just wanted to show you guys that it was possible. Instead, what I like to do is I like to export as HTML. All right, so it just created it into Canva. Let's check out what it did here and how it looks. All right, so we could do this and we can actually edit the email directly in here. And it is all set in Canva if we wanted to make edits on our own. We can literally do this. You can see it's through code right here. Make any of the edits that we want and we are able to adjust this. If I even wanted to switch the image, I'm not sure how I would do that because it's in code right now. So I'm not sure how to do that in Canva, but if you wanted to export this into Klaviyo, you could also do that directly in here. But let's go to my preferred method, which is through Figma. So all that I like to do here is I like to export as a standalone HTML. And so essentially, this email is gonna be turned into HTML code. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna send this over to Figma and we're gonna use a plugin that turns HTML into Figma designs. Now, very soon, there is going to be a Figma connection directly integrated with this, kind of like how there is with Canva. You can do it within Claude Code, but you can't do it with Claude Design right now. So right now, we kind of have to use this workaround where we download the HTML and then we go into Figma and we use a plugin within Figma that turns HTML into a design, which isn't ideal, but it's what we have to do right now. And once it's in Figma, we're gonna be able to slice the email how we want to then be able to upload into whatever platform we're sending our email from. All right, so it's just created this for us. We can click download, and then we are going to download this, and boom, we have our HTML right here. So our whole email is gonna be within here. If I click onto this, you can see this is how it looks. It is downloaded as a file on my computer. It opened it into Google Chrome. We have everything right here. So now let's go into Figma, and I'm just in a random file right here. Once you're in any file that you want, you just wanna go into plugins. And this is the plugin that I use, html.to.design. You can add any plugin just by going to manage plugins. You can look up HTML right here, and this is the one that I use. There are all sorts of ones that we could do. Any of these are going to work. But again, the one that I use is this html.to.design. I don't know if it's the best one, it's just what I use. So I click into it and you can see I get this right here. And then I'm just gonna click the HTML design that I just created, which is going to be right here. I'm gonna open this. It's gonna ask a couple of questions. I'm just gonna proceed with what we have, and it's going to create this email right inside of Figma in a format that we can edit and export. You can see right here, I'm on the free version and you only get a few on the free plan. And so this ends up being a big thing that you use, then you'd have to use a paid plan on whatever platform you use. So we can see, boom, it just created this completed email just like this. It created it inside of this section, and then we have a frame. I'm just gonna move this out of the section just because I don't like how it looks. I'm going to delete you. I'm just gonna move this email outside, and then boom, here's where we're at. I'm gonna delete this. Now we have the email right here. The only downside is, since it's a custom font, we're gonna have to go in here and make the font what we want, because it just uploaded things as Arial because it couldn't recognize the font. So I'm just gonna go in and replace all of the fonts with what it is supposed to be. And if I wanted to make edits, I could just do this in here. But honestly, I don't have any edits that I wanna make. But if you wanted to create edits, then you're going to have to replace all the fonts. So I'm just clicking everything, changing it to Gruffy. We're gonna have to fix some of the formatting. So I think we're pretty much good to go. I'm just double checking formatting and whatnot, making sure things are centered. So you can see me just moving things around just a tiny bit. this, and then we should be good. Fix this font that I missed. Boom, and we should be good to go with this email. All right, we're all set. Now we can actually export this email into wherever we're sending. And for this example, we're gonna be using OmniSend, which is a tool that I've been using a lot more. It's a cheaper alternative as your email sending tool for e-commerce brands, and it gives you everything that you need. You can get 30% off your first 3 months by going to omnisend.com/max right here. I recommend you check them out. So when we go into OmniSend, we're gonna send this as a campaign. So I'm going to head over to campaigns, I'm going to create a campaign, and I'm going to create an email. And so this is where we're able to enter our subject line, where we could do something like this if we wanted to. And then we have the preview text if we want to do the preview text, and then our name. I'm just going to put this as text, and it'll show you what it looks like in the inbox right here. And then we're going to choose an email template. And OmniSend has a ton of different templates that we can choose from. It really doesn't matter, but you can use save templates as well to save time. But I really just need something empty because I'm creating a fully custom email. So I'm just going to click use template right here, and I'm going to delete all of these sections because I'm going to be creating our email from scratch. So all that we're going to be doing to get this email into our platform is we're going to be splitting this up into different images and uploading these images into the platform. Now, a lot of people think you can't have full image emails, you need to have HTML, but guys, it is 2026. You look at all these big, fast-growing brands like Groons, Marsman, IM8, they all send full image-based emails, and they've turned out all right. And I've tested this and there's no impactful difference. Of course, test it on your own, but we don't see much of a difference for most of our brands. So we just upload full images. So what we do inside of Figma is we go to this slice tool down here. And essentially, this lets you slice different parts of your email. And then what we're able to do is we are able to export these as images. So I like to export right here on 2x size. So I'm just gonna name it 1HB for happy being. And it's important that you have different slices for different links in your email. So if you're gonna have a different link, then make sure it is separate because we are uploading these as images. And each image needs a link. So make sure if you're using different links, you're gonna have different images. Like right here, if somebody clicks the logo, I wanna take them to the regular happybeing.co website. But if somebody clicks this image or this button right here, any of this section, I wanna send them to the shop all products section. So I'm gonna use a different image slice. Now what I recommend is you don't have anything over 1,000 kind of height if you have 600 width, because the bigger your image is, the more space it's going to take, and the longer it's gonna take for it to load in the customer's inbox, just because that file is a lot larger. And so we don't just wanna take a massive image, we wanna make sure to split it by sections. So this is a bit of a longer slice, but I think we're gonna be okay. I am gonna export this as 2HB. And then now I'm just copy and pasting these different slices and just making sure I'm aligned up right here. And I'm just gonna go through and do the rest of these and let you know when I'm done. All right, so pretty much we're gonna have the same link throughout this email. All of this is they're all gonna have the same link. So I just kind of like carried these large images throughout. I'm just gonna leave the footer for now because typically you just do the footer once inside of OmniSend and then it's the same throughout. So for now, I'm just gonna skip that. Let's go to the next part of the process. So the problem with these image files is they're gonna be large image files that we just exported. And so we like to use a compress tool, which is going to compress our images and make them hold less space. So I like going to iloveimg.com/compress image, and then I just upload all of those images that I just created. So I'm just going to select all of these, and right here, we're gonna compress, and you guys are gonna see how much space we save. So we just took this whole email when we upload it from 4 megabytes all the way down to 1.24. And that's what we want right here. And so these compressed slices are going to be what we upload into OmniSend. So let's head back over. We're gonna add elements. We're going to add an image right here. And let's just go on ahead and put in the first slice. So I put the first one in here, and the thing is we have like some padding throughout here. And so what we need to do is we need to adjust our padding just to make sure that there's no extra space. So you need to go over here and just remove all of this padding. And that should be good. I'm actually gonna spread this out over here. And then we're gonna click this remove image padding and just make sure that we're taking up the whole space. And then boom, now that that is formatted correct, I'm just gonna clone this a ton of times and put in the rest of our images. There's the next one, and then let's go and add the next, and I'll catch you guys in a second. So boom, we have everything. Now let's add the links to all of these. So for the main top section, I'm just going to take the plain homepage. I'm just gonna link that to there. And then for everything else, let's send everybody to shop all right here. Boom, 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 boom. So now everything has that, and then we'd be able to adjust the footer how we wanted. But the next thing that you can add is alt text. This is optional, but recommended that you add alt text. Essentially, if images don't load for somebody, this alternative text is gonna show up instead. So you can say like a healthier drink. Use that for this top section. Actually, looks like I forgot the logo, so let me add the logo into here. All right, we got the logo in there. This is where so we're all good here. And then alt text, I would just copy the text right here. So I just do the science behind the smile. And you could just do that and then just kind of like copy the text if you want. It's optional. I haven't seen a massive impact in using alt text, but it's usually good practice to have. And then once we double check our links, we should be good to go. All we have to do is go to save and choose recipients. We're gonna click the list that we want to send the email to, and then we can review the campaign, and then we're able to send this out to our whole entire list. And boom, you send that email and you have just created a full AI email and exported it into your platform. The back and forth on creating that email was literally about 10 to 15 minutes long. So say it takes you 15 minutes for every email, compared to before, it took you an hour, you just completed your emails in 25% the amount of time. If you're like most brands where you send 3 to 4 emails a week, at the end of the month, that's 20 hours of work with the old method doing everything from scratch. With this new AI method with 25% of the time needed, it would only take you 5 hours. 5 hours of work compared to 20 hours of work is insane, and you can reinvest that time into strategy and things that will actually move the needle rather than intricate little copy and design things. Now, it's important to note you do not just want to give an AI your full email design or your full email channel. You still need people overseeing it. So this doesn't replace designers and it doesn't replace email strategists. It's only going to amplify what they can get done. We aren't replacing anybody. We're just finding ways to adapt to use these systems to be more efficient. The teams winning in 2026 are not the ones who are fighting AI. They're the ones building it into how they work. That's exactly what we have been doing at Wellcopy, and it's how we're able to consistently generate $50 million every single month for our brands. If you're curious on where your email program stands, then click the link below and book a call with our team, and I will personally run an audit of your email account and let you know where you stand. It takes 15 to 30 minutes. You're gonna get a full action plan, and there's no pitch unless you want one. If you want more breakdowns like this where AI can fit into your workflow and make you more efficient, then make sure you subscribe because I'm gonna be having a ton more content covering this. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.